Hey everybody, what's going on? Hellmite here, bringing you another video from Grab the Lantern today. Today I want to talk about the concept of getting carried, because we all kind of do this. We get into a solo queue game, especially is when you're guilty of this, and immediately you're thinking to yourself, I have to carry, because you don't trust your teammates. Of course you don't. That's just how this game works. You never trust your teammates, especially in solo queue. It's just a natural human inclination, and it's very difficult to change that perception, because you know your own skill. You have no idea what anyone else's skill is, and you immediately think to yourself, I must be the only player that's good in this game, even though it's just that you don't know how good everyone else in the game is. So you assume, therefore, that you're the best player on your team, you have to carry. And maybe you do, maybe you don't. The problem with this mentality, though, is that you only have roughly a 20% chance of carrying any given game. If we simplify the math, obviously support has a harder time carrying than another position, jungle has a harder time carrying than another position, but if we simplify the math, 20% chance of you actually carrying the game. Every other situation, 4 out of your 5 games, you will not be the one to actually pull your team to victory. And because of this, it's illogical to assume that you have to carry then. It's actually easier to assume that you will not be carrying and to play the game out as best you can. And basically, the point I'm getting at here is that the burden is not solely on you. You have 4 other teammates who can pick up the slack if you are not having a good game or if you're falling behind. And sort of what I'm getting at here is that if you do fall behind, you give up the first kill in lane, you get ganked and you die, you don't snowball on an early game character, or you're on an early game character against a champion that you just can't bully at all, Darius versus Kayle, for example. The most important thing for you to realize is that the onus is not on you to carry in most situations. So because of this, it's illogical to assume to yourself then that the game is lost because I didn't get to carry, right? Because you have an entire team that can totally pick up the slack. Just because you're behind in lane doesn't mean that your mid laner didn't just get a double kill bottom lane, or that your bottom lane isn't 100% out CSing their bottom lane, or that your jungler hasn't had multiple successful ganks. It doesn't make a lot of sense to say, I'm doing poorly, therefore we can't win the game. And I see this a lot of times actually when someone goes down early in lane or is not having the lane experience they were hoping for, and instead of leaning on the rest of the team that may or may not be doing well, they immediately start saying, oh, the game's over, oh, we should FF, oh, I'm not going to be worth anything. It's okay. And it is a skill learning to get carried. It's a skill to be able to tell yourself, it's fine. I don't have to be the one to make the faker level plays. I don't have to be the one that scores the game-winning pentakill. Sometimes all you need to do in a game is go in and do your job, whatever that happens to be. If you're Darius and you go behind, your job is just to absorb as much aggro as possible. Go in, make people kill you, and even if you die, that's fine. You did your job. You don't have to pentadunk the enemy team in order to have done your job. And sure, it's not glamorous. Your scoreline probably won't be what you want it to be. Maybe your CS isn't what you want it to be either. But as long as you win the game, you get the LP. It doesn't matter if you carry that game or not. And that's really what I'm getting at more than anything else, is you need to make sure that the LP and the win come before having a good scoreline. So if all you're doing is your job, if I'm the AD carry, that means doing as much DPS as possible. If I'm the support, that means setting my team up for success. If I'm the mid laner, in most situations, that means just outputting magic damage. Then you're fine. You did the best you could. And if you're behind, your team should at least understand that. You did the best you could. If you were in a counterpick matchup and you farmed it out the best you couldn't do that much in lane, and you entered the mid game a little weaker than you should be, as long as you were going out there and doing magic damage or doing tank or doing whatever, you're fine. And that's part of the skill there, is realizing when you've done all you can do. It's illogical for a 0 and 3 Ezreal to assume that they are going to do a ton of damage and carry a fight when they're 0 and 3. They should expect to do some damage. I wouldn't expect an Ezreal player to just not participate in a fight because they think, oh, well, I'm not going to do anything. They should still do some damage, and regardless of whether or not it's enough, as long as they're still doing their part, they're fine. And the whole goal is to rely on the rest of your team to make up the slack. So even though you might not be doing well, maybe your top lane's doing well, maybe your jungle's doing well, and those are the champions you then need to rally around to say, hey, our Mordekaiser is our team at the moment. We need to make sure he survives. or our Jhin is really strong. We need to make sure we're protecting him in fights, because if we do our jobs, the Jhin will carry us to victory. And that's really part of the curve of mastery, is realizing who on the team is going to carry, and then doing the best you can to enable them to do the best they can in order to get the win. And it takes a while, and it takes a couple of mind shifts to get yourself into the state of realizing, I'm not going to be the one to win the game for the team, right? And to be able to say to yourself, but that's fine. Acknowledging that it's okay that I'm not going to be the one to win the game for my team. I just need to go out there and do the best I can. And that kind of mentality as well helps you a lot more, especially when you're on a losing streak. If you're not doing well in lane, you just need to make sure you're doing the best you can for the rest of the game. Not going for the hero plays, not trying to somehow make up that kill I gave up because that'll even things out. No. Just forget about it. Just do the best you can from then on out. And as long as you're doing that, it helps you when you lose, because then you realize, I did everything I could. I didn't go overly aggressive trying to bully a champion that I can't really bully. I played the best I could, and maybe she got ahead, maybe she didn't, but whatever was the case, I did what I could. I know I've said that phrase like 8 times, so I'm going to stop right now. Anyways, go ahead and let me know what you guys think of this concept down in the comment section below. I'd love to hear your thoughts on it. I know I rambled on a little bit, but let me know if that was an issue for you guys as well. I'm always trying to improve this channel. If you enjoyed the video, go ahead and leave a like. If you really enjoyed the video, consider subscribing. I upload a video every Monday, Friday, and on patch days as well. Once again, thank you guys so very much for watching. I do appreciate it, and I will talk to you all later.